2xKO balance patch notes are out with the big article that has how live balance works, our goals and plans for future balance patches, and how you watching right now can help them make the game feel better. There you go. This is written by Pat. So you know it's going to be 4,000 words long. Keep all this in mind when we read the patch. We've seen a lot of great conversation about the state of game balance and early access so far. I wanted to explain how we work on balance, share our perspective about the current state of the game, including Echo, Yasuo, Teemo, and backdashes. These are the 4 horsemen, not Ari. Our champions are built by a small team that generally includes one person from each game dev discipline. This team also includes a member of our gameplay analysis team, GAT, our specialized team of high-skill QA analysts who are responsible for making sure that the team has access to a deep level of fighting game expertise. People like Apology Man or Yahozi or Funtax or Josh. The further a champion is in development, the more time and effort it takes to change things. So having the GAT involved early on helps us catch major balance issues. So if you think about the most obnoxious thing you played against in 2xKO so far, just know it used to be even worse. To give you guys an example of something like this, KI invited a bunch of players to come in and like try some of the earlier stuff that they did. I like went and I picked my character and I just like immediately found something that was like, oh my God, look at this bullshit. Watch me play the game for like 2 matches. What do you think about what I'm doing here? And they watched it and they're like, okay, that does not look right. We could probably make some changes. So their job is basically to do this full time. This test we did with KI was a bunch of players who were like active in the competitive community, right? And some of them did go in and then try their characters and then try to hide tech and stuff. Meanwhile, I was like, hey, can you like shoot my character? Look at this nasty shit they're doing. This is gross, right? So yeah, you need the right people for sure. So everybody gets a pass and then they meet the gatekeeper. She has to be like, okay, where's this character at? What are they doing? What's too gross? What can we do? By the time the champion goes live, the original pod members will be working on a different champion. Our highest priority is getting more champions out. So during phase of development, we have to make sure that we have the tools we need to tune a champion's power without pulling someone off of another champion and potentially delaying their whole pod's development timeline. I.e., by the time it makes it to Yahozi, they're like dropping their son off at school. Okay, here's Teemo. This is his first day. Like, this is all the stuff he does. Okay, bye. You can then have Dawn be like, all right, cool. Let me take a look at everything and make sure he brought paper and, like pencils and all this stuff because everybody else on this project's gone. They're working on the next character, right? Like, let's go work on Mecha Aatrox. She also has to tune for current balance, like live balance, and also whatever is going on in the future. As you'll see by the end of this article, they lock things in like a lot earlier than you probably anticipate. This is so cool that we get to know this, by the way, because we don't know at all how like Street Fighter or Tekken does these things, right? Like no one knows. After a champion launches, we closely monitor their performance at various skill levels, looking at pick, win rates, champion matchups, common pairings, move usage frequency, and much more. We also keep tabs on how players are talking about the champion to see how you feel when playing as or against them, since the emotional experience of playing into a frustrating matchup always feels worse than the actual win rate data. As of writing this, the worst matchup in our data is 55 to 46%, but I guarantee you everyone can think of a matchup that they feel is far worse than that. I wonder what this is. I would guess it's like Teemo Blitz or like Yasuo Braum. That's bad, but I don't know if it's that bad. Their top priority on the early months has been finding and fixing bugs that have dramatic effects on match outcomes. We have also been prioritizing the bugs that create unexpected moments in a match, collision issues that cause champions to warp through each other, champion state issues that give moments of unintended vulnerability, awkward interrupted moments in throws and supers that keep the defender stuck in a never-ending hit reaction, and the updog Warwick of Infinite Fly bug. Starting with Season 1, we'll aim to deliver balance patches approximately every 5 weeks alongside all the other 2xKO content. I am nervous about this. We'll reserve the option to patch off cycle if we see major bugs or balance issues that absolutely must be dealt with before the next patch comes, or change timings to avoid disrupting the game balance before a major tournament. To be clear, we're not interested in changing things for the sake of changing things. As fighting game players ourselves, we understand the frustration of having to retrain your muscle memory after a patch, me learning soul bad guy combos in every version of Guilty Gear Strive, and we think that as new champions and fuses come out, you'll have your hands full labbing the new stuff anyways. For now, you can expect changes to be a bit more disruptive as we continue to iron out the current set of bugs and balance issues, but the goal is to stabilize each champion's core functionality as soon as possible so you can feel confident that all your go-to tech will work from patch to patch. In general, we want to give players a chance to develop and explore the meta. We've seen plenty of strategies in fighting games go from broken tier to B- as players learn to adapt, and we are thinking nerfing, buffing, patching it out too early would deprive players of the satisfaction of overcoming a challenge. I think a good example of this is the opinion of Warwick from Everybody has gone up as this patch has been out for longer. Fighting games don't have the highs without the lows, and we're aiming these balance patches mostly to prevent the lows from getting too low. Every 5 weeks is very scary words for me. I am nervous that it will create an identity that is after 1 week spending 4 weeks basically being like, you have to nerf this character to the ground, and if they don't kill these characters, then it's like over. All 4 of the top characters, let's just say they get shot to death, then people will be making posts like every day, like the cycle of fighting this stupid ass, you just do anything and Blitzcrank grabs you and I eat 30% and I can't get away from him, he's so broke. Like, people are gonna be yapping, right? My only concern is the behavior of the people around a 5-week patch cycle. If the patch doesn't kill a character in every 5 weeks, people are gonna be like, God, they fucking suck, why didn't they shoot this character to death? So you just all have to be more responsible about how we think and talk about this stuff, because the belly aching is already so extreme. Yeah, I already saw K7 say Yasuo's dead, and I'm like, bro, you already said Yasuo was like 6th in the last patch when the last patch came out. We all gotta be honest here. Come on, like, what are we doing? I'm fine with 5 weeks if the changes are kind of like how they are so far, because this patch, as an example, is not that huge. I don't know what this chart is supposed to be at all. I mean, it's a scale, and like something's weighing heavier on one side or the other, but like I don't know what this means. We're responsible for the play experience at every point on the skill spectrum, not just at the high end, so our first goal is for every champion to have a fighting chance at all skill levels. This is often more challenging balance issues because not all players learn how to use the universal and champion specific tools in the same order. Blitzcrank and Jinx do a lot better at the beginner level, where many players aren't yet comfortable using defensive systems like retreating guard, push block, parry. Yeah, if you don't know how to use any defensive mechanic, I imagine Jinx minigun is like miserable. While champions that scale heavily with a player's technical skills like Echo, Yasuo, and Ahri tend to do better at advanced level plays. We want to get Jinx crank players an easier time at an advanced skill level. We need to do it without sacrificing the newer player experience by identifying and changing tools that are more frequently used in advanced play. Like many other Riot games, we use win rates and pick rates at different skill levels, as well as team composition win rates, champion matchup charts, and move usage data to help us identify which champions are causing issues and which players are most affected by them. At a starting point, we look for champions that have a win rate lower than 40% or higher than 53% and prioritize them for a balanced investigation. When it comes to competitive play, think the top 10% of ranked in our tournament players. Our perspective on balance is different. We expect players to pair champions together with the strengths and weaknesses in mind, whether that means picking 2 champions that cover each other's gaps or picking 2 characters that excel at a specific game plan, and their success or failure would depending on how efficient they can thwart their opponent's game plan and assert their own. I.e., you play 2 like balanced characters or characters that like the yin and yang, right? Or you play like 2 big dudes and your goal is to go kill the other team before they can get near you. Or you play Jinx Teemo and your goal is to shoot them to death before they ever can get near you. You know what I mean? At the top 1% of play, no champion has gone past our 47 to 53% warning zone. So if we see a spike in a champion's pick rate at high skill levels, we'll take that as another indicator that victory-minded players, gotta use that, yo, you're a victory-minded player, have converged on a champion or team that is a bit too strong compared to the others. We believe that the hallmark of a deep and rewarding fighting game is that skilled players can disagree about the best ways to play it. So if that's not happening, it's on us to fix that. One thing about the balance of the game right now is basically all victory-minded players, I think by the end of this patch, would have swapped to Teemo +1, basically. And also playing Yasuo Echo. Freestyle. We know for most engaged fighting game players, our experience of a game is often shaped by seeing the way it's played by a very small group of people. So let's talk about what we've observed so far. Champion diversity in closed beta and early access. When we look for beginner play, our goal is for every champion to have a fighting chance, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Double Down is the most represented fuse by a large margin, but it's also the only team-based fuse that doesn't require playing through the fuse tutorials to unlock. It also is it's the easiest to use, and it's the one that I think makes the most sense for most people. Most of the frustrations we've seen players in the cohort reporting has more to do with the learning curve of systems, mechanics, and inputs, which is of course something that you can do to refine further, but not a balance concern. For high level play, Echo and Yasuo are too effective in point and assist roles, to the point where they're pushing other champions out of feeling viable. Teemo is very good at range combat, but also a bit too good up close. So we think he's winning more than he should because his intended weaknesses aren't sufficiently offsetting his intended strength. Blitzcrank and Braum are both having a pretty tough time in neutral because the rest of the cast can keep them out with movement, projectiles, and big attacks. I have maybe different thoughts about each of the problems they have. Like with Braum, I don't think it's hard for him to get in, or like movement or projectiles is a problem. I think the biggest problem with Braum to me is Yasuo, and just that character in particular. I think like most of the other characters I fight, I find it pretty chill, even fighting really, really good players. Yeah, I think it's hard to zone Braum kind of, actually. I think his problem is usually characters that can pull up and beat his ass rather than zoning. Echo will see adjustments to his time winder duration and block stun, and his forward assist will be a little slower, move a little less far, and have a little less block stun to allow for some more counterplay during his time. My time. For Yasuo, we'll be toning down some of his remaining damage outliers and mix-up utility on his mid-air down H to make his mix a little less overwhelming and rewarding. These changes alone will not solve their game health problems, but we saw this as an opportunity to make things a little better in the short term while we let some of the more impactful solutions cook a little bit longer. AKA, probably January, right? The January patch. I don't know what their balance tells them about Teemo, but I'm curious to see what they write. Teemo has also proven to be a little bit more powerful than intended, but we'll think it'll be a little less complicated problem to solve. While he is supposed to be annoying at range, his other tools are creating a bit too much advantage. They adjust his forward S1, his overhead, his super assist, and his S1 super to see where we can create more opportunities for counterplay or reduce the payoff while retaining the gameplay identity of these moves. We have additional changes we're considering making in Season 1, but we want to see how these adjustments plan out first. Overall, our goal with 1.03 will be to make a little easier and less frustrating play against Echo, Yasuo, and Teemo, but we don't think that alone will bring balance in a healthy state. Blitzcrank will also receive some adjustments to improve access to Steam and a reliability on Rocket Punch for nullifying projectiles. This is a good change. And we're currently testing changes for some other underperforming champions that might land in Season 1, like universally speeding up 8-frame standing lights to 7. Oh, that would be a good change. We've also been keeping a close eye on Ahri's power level. We prioritize the work on other champions because overall as Ahri is much closer to our intended strength, but we do think she has some elements that are less interactive and a little annoying. She is, I think, similar-ish in power to the characters above her. So, neutral and disengagement patterns. Oh, this is interesting. We've been listening to player conversations about the high value of disengaging via backdash or backwards jump while waiting for assist cooldown timers to reset, and figured we would chime in on some clarification on how movement fits our vision for the game and where we want it to be. This is a game where overall character power is high to hit each champion's combat fantasy, and movement is powerful so players can attack and defend by smart and skillful positioning instead of emphasizing niche frame data details. Yeah, I mean, movement is fun, and positioning is fun, and being slippery is cool, and using movement to open up cool opportunities is fun. Since stages are big, movement is strong, and assist mechanics are mostly gated by a cooldown timer, many players are finding that disengaging with their point character and relying on assist calls and handshake tag to win neutral and create attack opportunities is a low-risk strategy with high reward if the opponent struggles to safely punish the assist call. I actually feel like the stages in this game are not that big. I feel like if I'm chasing someone and they're backdashing a lot, I feel like I corner them pretty fast. To be clear, we think that it's healthy that you can have different play patterns in win conditions, and we don't want to make a game where every team looks the same when they're winning. Yeah, I think that's true whether it's pulling up and just trying to kill the other guy or running away. And I think there's a bit of both in this game right now. I mean, I definitely think that running away from Vi is hard. I think the only characters that you can really get away from are the slowest characters with the fastest characters. Otherwise, it's very hard to get away. Push blocking Vi is easy. That's not getting away from her, really. I mean in like chasing in neutral. Even if you get push blocked, like she can just backsway or do S1 or do whatever and she's back in. Strategizing around how much champions and fuses can combine to play for different goals, whether it's multi-layered high-low freestyle mix or super tag screen pollution, is a big part of the fun of tag fighting games, and we love seeing all the different team strategies that players have put together during closed beta and early access so far. I would say that this is flirting versus harassment to me. Their solution to super tag so far is not my favorite, but it's the one that they've chosen to do, so maybe they just have a different vision than me. As with champion balance issues, the issue here isn't that disengagement play pattern exists, but it's that it hits champions exceptionally unevenly and contributes to the game feeling samey at the competitive level. I think it's not surprising to give you examples of some of the stuff they changed from the last test to this one. Remember how they nerfed backdashes before this test started? And then Fury is like insane. It makes you really fast and lets you chase people and go kill them. My guess as to why both of those things happened is because people were running away and people weren't dying. Well, let's make running away harder and make Fury fucking insane so that every time you kill my character and you're trying to run away, I just pop Fury on the next hit and then I run at you and kill you. And it's like a good band-aid. I don't know if it's good is the right word, but it's a band-aid until they can come up with something better, right? Which is they say, we're still experimenting on stuff, but I can tell you that philosophically, we would prefer to make forward movement better and attacking into a retreating opponent more reliable rather than just making backwards movement worse. We'd prefer to make punishing assists more reliable and rewarding without making the assist and tag mechanics worse. And we'd rather avoid implementing systems that disincentivize disengagement, like reducing break or super meter for moving backwards too often, because those mechanics often impose a singular strategic goal on champion combat design that we don't think fits the vision for the game. I think the big thing is like making it so that hitting an assist feels rewarding. I don't know about you guys, but right now I feel like hitting an assist in general does not feel very rewarding. I think it needs to be worse for the person with their assist getting hit in some way, which I think is a fear for them because duo play, like sometimes you send yourself out there as the duo and then you just die. We want to be careful of adjusting too much all at once, since if we make a lot of changes to target both neutral stalling patterns and champion balance disparities at the same time, the total effects of both goals will be harder to predict and may end up swinging the meta in too heavy of a less fun direction. Every change, you have to understand the consequences in a vacuum versus the whole picture. I always talk about this when I look at patches, but like, let's say you nerf Echo and Yasuo so those characters are less played. Whatever characters those characters beat badly will suddenly be a lot more viable. So even if you don't nerf or buff Ahri, if you nerf the character that counters her the most, then suddenly the character is way better because her biggest predator in the ecosystem is weaker. If Yasuo gets nerfed a lot and he's less picked, that's a big buff for Jinx. And if Teemo's really good, that's also a big buff for Jinx, right? We saw a lot more Jinx in the latter half of this version because she's good against Teemo. If Teemo's worse, we'll see more Darius because Darius is not good into Teemo. Like, these are all things that just happen without changes to that specific character. As you can tell by now, keeping the game healthy is going to be tricky, and they've been lucky to have dedicated players to help them give some feedback and stuff. Keep playing. Play the game the way you want to play it. We get a lot of great data about how players are playing the game at scale. So if you want to farm ranked with whatever top tier broken stuff you've got, know that we'll see those W's logged and use that to help inform balance. They just said if you know something's broken and you think it's really cheap, play that shit, so we'll know. And if you're playing with what you want to play and you're losing, we'll see that too. So they said lock in your favorite shit, go out there and have an impact. If you're not having fun playing for love or rank points, do up with a buddy and carry them in casuals, or take a break and play something else. We'll be making adjustments and we'll be here waiting for you to come back. And there's lots of great games out right now. Balance isn't just about fighting games. Find bugs, use hashtag 2xKObugs on Twitter. Video clips and game ID strings are really useful. Keep talking. Finally, continue to discuss with each other about what you think is strong or weak. We read the posts, watch the videos, and facepalm at the tier list as part of our regular work routines. And we think it's generally more civil and more accurate to observe conversations between players than participate directly ourselves. We've seen a lot of new players have fun with their first foray into tag team fighting games, and even their first fighting game ever. And we've seen lots of experienced fighting game players have fun figuring out a lot of extremely cool and powerful strategies that live up to the legacy of tag fighting games. Many of us on the team come from playing games that allow players to do great and terrible things to each other, and the countless hours we spent blowing up and getting blown up by these things is a consistent source of inspiration for the work ahead. We're making the game better for you, and helping us find what you don't like is key for making the game better. So big takeaways. They are looking for long-term changes for some of the problems that people have with running away and assist champions not being that punished when they get hit and things like that, right? The frustrating things that people may have, or like defensive scenarios where having an 8-frame normal versus a 6-frame normal is like a big deal. And a lot of the changes they're making to the top characters right now are small changes that are reasonable to make now before they can make long-term nerfs or adjustments to these characters that will make them feel better or more interesting or more fun to fight against than how they currently are. They also say they're going to patch on a 5-week cycle and they're listening to feedback on stuff. My biggest thought on this is I'm nervous not about them patching every 5 weeks, because I think the changes so far have been pretty reasonable, but a 5-week patch cycle means a lot of people are gonna just like look at the patch for a week and then start bitching. And then you spend 4 weeks basically campaigning to get rid of some character, and then if the patch doesn't do it, you just start bitching. Before this patch even came out, people were already mad that they didn't nerf Ahri. They were like, oh my God, you're gonna nerf Echo, Yasuo, and Teemo, but not nerf Ahri. That was before the patch even came out. They don't even know what the changes are. You know, everybody's gonna be politicking like crazy.